Roronoa Zoro is one of the main characters in One Piece who sails with Luffy, the protagonist of the story, as one of the most important members of his crew. Zoro is a master swordsman and one of the strongest characters in the series right now. He aims to become the greatest swordsman of his era, and to do this, Zoro has to reach unprecedented levels of power. During his journey across the seas, Zoro has encountered several strong fighters who have pushed him beyond all his limits. Out of the many that he has fought, only a few have tested Zoro both physically and mentally. Zoro vs. Hachi. Zoro fought his battle against Hachi during the Arlong Park arc of One Piece. While Hachi was far from the strongest that he has faced, this fight saw Zoro carry wounds from his clash against Miha. This nerf made this fight incredibly hard for Zoro, and made Hachi one of the strongest that he has faced on his journey so far. In the end, Zoro managed to defeat him despite his injuries. Zoro vs. Ryuma. Zoro clashed against Ryuma during the Thriller Bark arc of One Piece. In order to win back Brook's shadow, Zoro challenged the samurai zombie to a fight that ended rather quickly due to the incredible intensity that it showcased. This fight ended with Zoro slicing through Ryuma with Cane and earning his respect in the process. As a reward, he also got the sword Shisui. Zoro vs. Kaku. Kaku was a member of the CP9 who played the role of Zoro's main opponent during the Enies Lobby arc. With his newly acquired powers of the Ushi no Mi model Giraffe, Kaku proved to be quite a challenge for Zoro. In fact, even at his best, Zoro struggled against Kaku to quite some extent. Zoro had quite a lot of trouble dealing with his unique attacks and his Rokushiki abilities. This fight required him to awaken and tap into the powers of Ashura and level up during the fight to defeat his adversary. Despite everything, Zoro had enough strength to continue fighting afterwards too. Zoro vs. Kuino. Kuino is, by far, the weakest person on this list that Zoro has fought, and that is down to the fact that she was a child when they clashed. However, at the time, she was the strongest that he had entered combat against. Kuino fought Zoro 2,001 times and defeated him every single time with superior swordplay skills. While 2,000 of those fights were fought without an edged blade, the last one was fought with real blades, and, once again, she ended up winning. She is one of his toughest opponents, evident from the fact that he wasn't able to defeat her even once. Zoro vs. Pacifique. On Saboti Archipelago, Roronoa Zoro and the Straw Hat Pirates came face to face with a Pacifique. This fight was incredibly hard for the Straw Hat Pirates, and not even the monster trio was enough to overcome it. In the end, it took the collective effort of the entire pirate crew to subdue this Pacifique. Zoro alone struggled against it to quite a degree, and, today, this remains to be one of his toughest fights. Zoro vs. Mr. One. Zoro's fight against Mr. One was incredibly brutal for him, as it gave him a reality check of how far he was from his goal of becoming the greatest swordsman in the world. Mr. One had a steel body, thanks to his Supa no Mi. At the time, Zoro did not know how to cut steel, and thus, he suffered heavily in this fight. In fact, Zoro was left in a near-death state while fighting against him. In the end, he had to evolve while fighting and learned how to cut steel in order to surpass the fighting prowess of Mr. One. Zoro vs. Bartholomew Kuma. Zoro clashed against the Warlord of the Sea, Bartholomew Kuma, during the Thriller Bark arc of One Piece. Shortly after the fall of Gecko Moria, Kuma showed up to kill Luffy and take his head to the world government. Before he could do that, however, he decided to exterminate the entire crew, starting with Zoro. Zoro took the challenge head-on, and the two fought in a short-lived battle where Zoro immediately realized that he was no match for the Shishabukai. In the end, Zoro ended up offering his head instead of Luffy and earned Kuma's respect. Despite everything, he lived but was ordered to take all of Luffy's pain. Zoro vs. King. Zoro fought against King the Wildfire in Wano shortly after being in a life-and-death battle against two Emperors of the Sea. After taking a mink drug that restored him to full health for a short while, Zoro engaged King in combat and suffered for the vast majority of it. After being heavily injured, Zoro mastered Enma and learned how to channel Conqueror's Haki. Thanks to this ability, he developed a new fighting style called King of Hell, three-sword style. Eventually, Zoro defeated King with his newfound abilities. Zoro vs. Enel. In the Skypiea arc, Zoro ended up fighting against Enel. Even though he was not strong strong enough to take him on in combat. As expected, the fight was short-lived, and he ended up losing this battle within a matter of a few minutes. Enel's lightning powers were enough to electrify Zorro and knock him out completely. Even with the help of other fighters around him, Zorro stood absolutely no chance and was defeated. Zorro vs. Miha. Quite easily one of the toughest battles that Zorro has been in is the one that he fought against Dracula Miha, the man who currently holds the title of the world's strongest swordsman. Zorro challenged him during the Anno Arc and found out the gulf of power between him and the world's strongest swordsman. In the end, he admitted his defeat and received a scar that runs across his chest as a mark of respect from Miha. Undeterred, Zorro vowed to never lose again. Zorro and Worst Generation vs. Kaido and Big Mom. Quite easily, the most difficult fight that Zorro has been in so far is the one that he fought against two Emperors of the Sea on Onigashima in the New World. Both Big Mom and Kaido made life hell for the Worst Generation on the roof of Onigashima, and Zorro, who ended up losing this fight, was extremely impressive here nonetheless. Zorro ended up holding Hachi, a powerful Haki blast by the two Emperors, momentarily before being teleported by Law. This attack saw countless bones in his body shatter, and despite that, he was able to fight and even scar Kaido. Sadly, Kaido went on to knock him out with a powerful Thunder Bagua shortly afterwards. Had it not been for the doctors around him, Zorro would certainly have died. Nonetheless, he learned a lot from this fight, and after being healed with a powerful mink drug, he went on to fight against King the Wildfire. And in other news, One Piece. 7 most powerful organizations that work for the world government. One Piece is heading toward the end of its story, and for many fans, it is unfathomable that the manga will finally reach its conclusion. Ever since the series entered the final saga, Oda has revealed many new things about the world government, which is the most powerful organization in One Piece. The world government was formed several centuries ago, when the 20 kings decided to band together to take down the Great Kingdom. Since its establishment, the world government has created other smaller institutions to help it operate. These groups are not created equal, with some of them being far more powerful than others. Marines. The Marines are the most well-known organization that is directly under the control of the world government. The job of the Marines is to maintain peace throughout the world. They are led by the Fleet Admiral, and his job is to pass down orders to the lower ranks. The biggest asset of the Marines are the admirals, and at one point there could only be 3 of them. Each admiral possesses an incredibly powerful devil fruit, making them very dangerous opponents. Aside from them, the Marines have thousands of officers who are stationed in different parts of the world. CP9. CP9 is one of the most dangerous organizations in the One Piece world. Unlike the other Cypher Pauls, CP9 is solely focused on assassinating targets that may pose a threat to the authority of the world government. CP9 members are given many privileges, and the freedom to kill any individual is the biggest one. They were the main antagonists of the Water 7 and Enies Lobby arcs. The members of CP9 are trained from an early age, which makes them a lot stronger than ordinary Marines. They also learn the Rokushiki techniques, and many of them incorporate them into their fighting styles. After their defeat in the Enies Lobby, Spandam kicked out the rest of the members. CP0. CP0 is the most powerful Cypher Pole that operates under the world government. The members of CP0 are directly answerable to the world government. They are given the most important jobs because the world government trusts their abilities. CP0 members are divided into 2 groups, masked and unmasked. The members without masks are ranked lower, and they are not nearly as powerful as their masked counterparts. The masked assassins are considered extremely dangerous, and they are capable of fighting against the strongest characters. The appearance of CP0 is considered a sign that something major might be happening soon. Holy Knights. The Holy Knights are considered to be the law enforcers of Mariejo. The existence of the group was confirmed in the Wano Country arc by Akainu, who stated that they were investigating the attempted murder of Saint Charlos. The Holy Knights seemed to have a higher authority than the Marines in Mariejo, as they took over the investigation. The Holy Knights have not appeared in the story yet, but it is fair to assume that they are very powerful individuals, as the Celestial Dragons wouldn't settle for anything less. It is also possible that the Holy Knights might have knowledge about things that are strictly off-limits to the rest of the world. Shishabukai. While the Shishabukai system might no longer be in use, it is hard to overlook the impact it had on the story. The Shishabukai system was founded a long time ago and consisted of 7 pirates who worked for the world government. These pirates were selected on the basis of the threat that they posed to the peace of the world. At the beginning of the series, the Shishabukai consisted of Dracula Mihawk, Boa Hancock, Bartholomew Kuma, Gecko Moria, Don Quixote da Flamingo, Crocodile, and Jinbei. These pirates were given certain benefits, which included not being monitored by the Marines, having the freedom to plunder other ships, and receiving pardons for any crimes they might have committed. The fact that they had so much freedom eventually backfired, as some pirates abused their power and nearly destroyed countries. Impelled Down? Impelled Down was considered an impenetrable fortress, and throughout its history, only 2 people had ever escaped from it. However, the reputation of Impelled Down was tarnished by the riots caused by Blackbeard and Luffy. Despite the setback, Impelled Down still remains a world government stronghold that contains the most notorious criminals. Impelled Down has various levels, and criminals are assigned their cells depending on their notoriety. The worst criminals are locked on level 6, as the world government wants their existence to be erased forever. Currently, Hannibal is the chief warden of the facility. Enies Lobby. Enies Lobby is situated on an island with rather unique characteristics. On this island, the sun is always up for the people, and there is also a large waterfall that leads nowhere, so the island appears to be floating in the air. Aside from these features, the island is home to thousands of marine officers and world government employees. There is also a gate that allows for the smooth transportation of criminals from Enies Lobby to Marineford and Impelled Down. Enies Lobby was destroyed during the Straw Hats rescue mission for Nico Robin, which resulted in a Buster Call being initiated. It is unclear whether it has been rebuilt after being razed to the ground. That's a wrap for this video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back with more amazing videos very soon.